What's going on, guys? We are starting Yes Drama today. This is their 10th album, released in 1980. This is their only album featuring Trevor Horn on lead vocals and the first with Jeff Downes on keyboards. This followed the departures of John Anderson and Rick Wakeman after attempts to record a new album in Paris and London had failed. Drama was recorded hurriedly with Horn and Downes as a tour had already been booked before the change in personnel. Wow. I wonder if the tickets sold before people knew John Anderson wasn't in the band yet. Album marked a development in Yes's musical direction, combining the band's progressive signature with Horn and Downes' new wave sensibilities. Drama was released to a mostly positive critical reception, with most welcoming the band's new sound. Peaked at number 2 in the UK and 18 in the US, though it became their first album since 1971 not to reach gold, and the first to miss the top 10 there since the Yes album. Into the Lens was released as the album's sole single. Yes toured the album 1980 tour, North America and UK, were met with some negative reactions from British audiences over the lineup change. Yeah. Makes sense. Group disbanded at its conclusion. Horn would collaborate with Yes as a producer, while Downes would rejoin the band as a full-time member in 2011. 1979, Yes lineup completed their 78-79 tour in support of Tornado. Five reconvened in November 79 to start work on a new album. After the various problems they faced while recording Tornado, Yes decided to work in Paris with Roy Thomas Baker. Wait a minute. He worked on earlier records, right? Oh, he worked on Queen. That's why I know his name. Yeah, Roy Thomas Baker. I'm like, I was about to say, oh, bringing back Roy Thomas Baker. Then I'm like, wait a minute, wrong band. Other band. Queen. Wow. Working with Roy Thomas Baker on this. To oversee his production, Anderson and Wakeman entered the sessions with enthusiasm and wrote more material together than they had before. But the rest of the band felt the songs were too light and folk-oriented and started writing more aggressive and direct arrangements. Growing internal differences, described by Anderson as a loss of respect for each other, led to Squire, Howe, White, and Baker coming to sessions late, which discouraged Anderson and Wakeman, the latter at times refusing to leave his hotel room to rehearse. Conversely, Howe recalls Wakeman frequently throwing peanuts at White's drum kit during takes of a song he was getting tired of, which, in addition to being very noisy and distracting through the other members' headphones, took considerable effort to clean up. Yeah, that's some kid shit. That's insane. I mean, that's what I think. That's insane. Like, really? That's how you're gonna... It's freaking childish. Anderson and Wakeman left the studio to drink Calvados in a bar. What is Calvados? Brandy? Made from apples and pears? Disgusting. Gross. John and I got really quite depressed and, maybe because you're drinking, and started crying on each other's shoulders, and John said, "This is not the band that I love. This is not the band that I want to keep on going." And I replied, "I'm with you, John." The sessions were ultimately called off after White cracked a bone in his right ankle while roller skating with Richard Branson in a nightclub, rendering him unable to perform for about 6 weeks. I mean, Jesus Christ, guys. Following a break over Christmas, the band reconvened in London for rehearsals in an attempt to salvage the situation. They failed, and Anderson and Wakeman left in March 1980. Squire, Howe, and White continued to rehearse as a three-piece in Townhouse Studios. At the same time, bassist and singer Trevor Horn and keyboardist Jeff Downes, the new wave band The Bugles, were enjoying the worldwide success with their 1979 hit single video Kill the Radio Star, and had recently secured Brian Lane as their new manager. Since Lane was also responsible for Yes, and with both groups now working from the same office, Lane asked Horn and Downes, both fans of the band, to contribute a song for the trio to record. This led to Horn and Downes meeting Squire at his home in Virginia Water, where Horn played We Can Fly From Here, originally a Bugle song that was deemed too long for them to record on the guitar and sing. Squire remarked that his voice was similar to Anderson's and invited both musicians to rehearse with the band. Squire convinced Howe and White to let the pair join the group, feeling they were suitable replacements. Downes thought the music the trio had arranged lacked direction, but Yes liked We Can Fly From Here and wished to develop and record it. Meanwhile, the Bugles were not informed of Anderson's departure and only found out about the situation when Yes encouraged them to take part in recording the song. Horn had doubts in becoming Yes's new singer, considering Anderson's reputation among the fans, but agreed as he knew such an opportunity would not arise again. Lane went to the offices of Atlantic Records, the band's label in New York City, to announce the developments. His request for a $200,000 advance for the album was rejected outright by Chief Financial Officer Sheldon Vogel, but Lane secured a deal worth twice as much after the label had accidentally transferred $400,000 to his account some months prior and used the clerical error in his favor. Jeez. Atlantic founder Emmett Ergen flew to London to assess the situation and see if the new formation was commercially viable. He approved, thus giving the green light for a new album. Drama was recorded in approximately 3 months at Townhouse, with each band member credited for its production, and Hugh Padgham, Gary Langan, and Julian Mendelsohn as recording engineers. Sessions began with Eddie Offord, Yes's engineer and producer throughout the 70s, but several... Why do they keep... I keep on just thinking, these are not smart people. Why do they keep going back to that guy? Hey, like, yeah, okay, it worked then, that was great. But then it stopped working, right? And there was, like, issues. And then you went back to him and there was issues again. Now you're going back to him again? Come on, man. Come on. I don't want to hear... I don't know if I'm going much further than Drama, but I would not want to hear that they go back to him another time after this. As engineer and producer throughout the 70s, but several issues resulted in his departure as the album was being made. Downside Offord left in strange circumstances. It was a fraught and manic time, but he remained credited as producer of the backing tracks. 2021, Howe revealed that he fired Offord when 3 weeks of increasingly erratic behavior by the engineer culminated with Howe being asked to come down to his studio cafe immediately, where Offord was frying a pigeon he had apparently caught in the street in a saucepan with the intent of eating it. Disgusting. Fully disgusting. Yeah, just psychopaths. That's psychopaths. Padgham, who had previously worked on a session with the Bugles, accepted Horn's invitation to get involved with the album. He recalled the difficulty in working with Yes during this time, as the sessions were full of dramas with so much tension around. It sounds like that's just how they operated constantly. Like, it doesn't sound... Working in the studio with them sounds like a train wreck. Sounds like, no. Nope. Don't want to put myself through that. That sounds terrible. No fun. You know? Music was put together in several London locations. Howe put down his guitar tracks at Rack and Roundhouse recording studios, and the rest was recorded at Townhouse and Sarm East Studios. Howe recorded his parts in 2 weeks, saying, "I had total freedom. I went away and recorded 90% of the guitars on my own in a London studio and went back and presented it to the band. At first, people said, your guitars sound too bright and trebly. I said, no, shut up and use them." Horn spoke about his efforts to get the album finished. "I got married, and 2 hours later, I was back in the studio." Jesus. "We decided that for our honeymoon, we were going to spend 2 weeks in Miami Beach and ended up as 3 days in Bournemouth, and Steve came along. We had a good time, actually." Jeez. Horn and Howe completed the album's mixdown by themselves. Okay, so that's what's going on with that. So first off is Machine Messiah. So what, there's 6 tracks on the album. This one is the long, there's a 10-minute track, there's an 8-minute track. Okay. You know what? I'm going to do it in another video just because it's a 10-minute track. Let me do that. All right, I'll catch you in that video. See you then, later.